Yeah. Is the camera recording? With black families, it's either you're an engineer, a lawyer, or a doctor. Whether we like it or not, as women, men need to feel respected. A lot of the times, the world makes you feel like you can't have both. You can't be a good mother and an ambitious woman. I'm proof that you can.
Sharon, welcome to Beyond the Hustle.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for honoring our invite.
No, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to know, you wear so many hats. You've done corporate. You are also a lawyer. You do content creation. You are a mother. You are a wife. How do you tackle all of these things?
Well, like you said, so many hats, right? And I think I've let go of the notion of balance. I've rather focused on alignment. So, for instance, now with the fact that I recently just got admitted as an attorney.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you so much. I also own a consultancy. And like you said, I'm a wife and a mother.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I'll find myself reviewing contracts with my child on my laps, or I'll wait until she goes to bed. And then I forgo that notion of it's all about balance, so that I'm not too hard on myself.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I've been checking out your content, and there are some things that caught my interest. You speak to a lot of mothers who are trying to tackle this and that. Where did that passion come from?
You know, I had my daughter in August of 2023. She's been a wonderful blessing, but I've always been an ambitious young woman.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of the times the world makes you feel like you can't have both. You can't be a good mother and an ambitious woman. So the passion for that for me was to show the young women just like myself that you can have both.
Yeah.
Yes, it's difficult. It's not easy. It has not been easy for me, but it's possible.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage the young mothers that are studying towards a degree, or even in the same line of work that I'm doing as well, that it's okay, it's possible. And even though it's not easy, you can do it.
Yeah. And it's definitely not easy. I have 5 kids myself. And, you know, sometimes I look at my wife, and she has to do all of these things. During the day, she's doing certain tasks, maybe for the family or for the business. And then she has to think about the kids when they knock off at school, whether they have gotten, you know, the things that they need to use at school. And then we also have a toddler at home, you know, who needs a lot of attention. She can't even clean with the toddler around, you know, all of that balancing act. And at times I think we take it lightly, you know, as men, you know, just thinking, okay, no, it's just natural. It's the same as me being at a business or something like that. But there are certain stresses that women go through. What are some of these things that you have experienced, both for yourself and also from people that interact with your content?
Well, I just want to start off by saying that I have a supportive husband at home as well. So that is an added advantage for me.
Yeah.
And I recognize that not a lot of people have partners to support them. When I started out, I put myself through law school. Right. I financed my LLB. I was working as a paralegal at the time, and I was juggling both work and school, right, at the same time. So after I completed my LLB, I intended on going straight into my articles. And if you ask any lawyer, they will tell you that articles are brutal.
Yeah.
Right. So I tackled that while being pregnant with my daughter, and then also going through law school at the same time, having to deal with the stresses of meeting deadlines and things of that nature. So I think the one thing that has always motivated me and has always pushed me forward is I'm a woman of faith as well.
Yeah.
I'm very much a prayerful person. And if anyone who knows me knows, I cannot do anything without God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I say that to say that I draw my strength and I draw my courage and I draw everything that I am now from God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you know, I'm not a woman, but I'm trying to relate to most of the things that you are saying. And as you speak, you know, it just takes me back home. And there are too many expectations placed on women, you know, and I can imagine being a lawyer, it's one of those things that have been dominated by most men for a very long time because the job is demanding, going through cases and reading up things that are not even within your field because you guys read everything. If you have a client who's a doctor, you have to understand exactly what those contracts are all about.
The nerves were like, answer this question properly. A lot of law firms, from what I know from the firm that I used to work for, they do pro bono matters. That is matters that they won't cost you anything, or no win, no fee matters. With regards to setting up a business, I'm going to plug myself here. You can approach small consulting firms such as paralegal consultancy, where you have a legal mind, but it's not a big corporate law firm that's going to charge you $2.5 an hour for looking at a one-page document.
How is the pressure of just being a woman in this legal environment and also having to take care of everything? How's the decision making of, do you want to be that type of lawyer who moves from point A until you become a high court judge, or you are thinking, I just want to do it corporate, and then from there I live? So
the goal for me has always been to see my name on the door. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is I've always had the goal of starting my own business or starting my own firm, my own practice, right? So I went into this career field knowing that where I'm going to end up from a law student perspective is one day owning a firm, right? I don't have the aspirations of becoming a judge, but the aspiration of owning my own practice is something that I feel very strongly about.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Yeah. And how's the journey so far?
I will say it has had its ups and downs, eh?
Yeah.
It has had its ups and downs. I know there's been moments where I've faced like real down times, right? In my emotions, but there's been good and bad days, But I say all this to say that I take everything one day at a time. I take everything in strides, and emotions are not permanent. I like to view them as vehicles. One comes, one goes. And so the fact that I've had those bad days, the fact that I've realized my dream of becoming an attorney makes up for it.
You mentioned earlier that you have been transitioning from corporate, and doing your own thing as a consultant, setting up your own firm. How is that playing out?
I want to put it in a way that doesn't make it sound scary. It's been a journey in that I left my contract of articles. They ended in January of this year, right? When I took the decision to leave the firm, I knew that, okay, I'm going to have to really start putting a plan in place, right? So I've had the consultancy since 2020 already, but then I took a step down when I had to do my articles. And then I resumed directorship this year. So I knew that when I left corporate, I knew that I had to make sure that everything was in place in order for me to start and continue my consultancy business. So in short, because I don't want to go around in circles, but in short, it hasn't been easy. But I also feel like the things that I'm learning along the way, I'm learning from my failures. I'm learning from the ups and downs of starting the firm, the consultancy. Yeah. And it's really teaching me resilience as well.
It's a very competitive environment, I can imagine. Thinking about getting into it, what would you say would be your fears, if there are any?
My biggest fear is failure, right? And I also struggle with imposter syndrome. And having to tell myself, okay, this is who you are. This is why people come to you. This is what you can offer people as a service, and you're doing well in that. But there's always that voice in the back of my head that's like, what if people don't listen to me? Or what if I fail? So that's always in the back of my mind. But like I said, I'm a woman of faith. So, yeah.
Has it always been there, or it only started as you got into your career?
I think it's always been there, but not as loud.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family where a lot of my aunts and my mothers are entrepreneurs, right? But they've always placed importance on, you need to get a job, you need to have stability, you need to do this, otherwise you'll fail, right? And I think as a child, you kind of adopt those things. And as you grow older, they kind of still stick in the back of your head. So I think it's always been there, but it's louder now.
Yeah. Yeah. We look at trauma in so many different ways. At times we think of trauma like the horrific incidents that have happened in the past.
Right.
But certain things that are being said as you are growing up, looking at people, you come to them for advice and they tell you, if you do this, you're going to fail. Look at your uncles, so and so, they tried to do this, they failed.
Yeah.
And I think at times they don't understand exactly how it impacts us as we grow older. You try to do something, at the back of your mind, you are thinking, hey, what if this thing failed? Because you have heard fail so many times, but not necessarily that you have failed, but you have heard the word so many times, right? And I think a lot of young people are going through that because most of our parents, they were not conscious of some of this terms that they use. They just threw words, recklessly.
Yeah.
You are not smart enough, you are going to fail, this is not good for you, this is not for women, this is for men, and then later on we are fighting, wars that we shouldn't even be fighting with the system, and it's not the system, it's how mostly we were raised.
There's a common saying in the legal fraternity in that lawyers, especially female lawyers, we don't take our husbands' surnames because eventually down the road you're going to start a firm and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
I come from a more traditional mindset. Yeah. Whereas when I got married, I assumed my husband's surname, right? And for me, I think that thing with women and men, and no, I don't think it's right. The reason I don't feel like it's right, I'm also coming from a more traditional sense, is that your husband is the head of your household, right? How is he expected to lead and feel respected? Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not as women, men need to feel respected. Yeah. How am I going to respect you if you bear my surname, right? No, for me, I don't think it's, and a lot of women, guys, I'm sorry, but for me, I honestly see value in you assuming a man's surname because you assume that he's going to take care of you, right? And your family. And he's going to be a good leader in your family, right? So if you are of the opinion that, femininity and girl power, that's you.
But there's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with keeping your last name.
Yeah, no,
right?
there's nothing wrong with it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But changing a man's last name, no. I think now we are going a step ahead. I understood it. I mean, for certain families, let's say maybe it's a prominent family. It's a Mandela, and then your lady is from the Mandela, right? And then she also becomes a lawyer, right? It might be easier for her to transact as a Mandela and partners, something like that. So she doesn't need to change her last name. Maybe she can get your last name, but put it somewhere.
A double barrel. A lot of people often double barrel.
Yeah, it needs to be for certain reasons, right? But feminists came, and then now everyone has to do it. Those were special cases of people, and you would agree also as a husband, right? If your wife has a very powerful name, and you are building because you are partners, you are building, and you are like, which name would work for us best, right? We think that maybe let's maintain Oppenheimer, Maintain Oppenheimer. I will use mine, right? I will use mine, and then we decide whether the kids should also maintain Oppenheimer, or they should take mine, right? I don't think if you are partners and you discuss this, then it should be.
It wouldn't be.
But someone comes with the surname of Tapolo. Like, nobody knows that surname, and then we are fighting. Why are we fighting?
No.
Why are we fighting? So maybe just take us through your background. Growing up, I know everyone has a story, and our stories build up to who we are today, and we might realize or not realize along the way, but we do have stories. Your primary school days, your high school days, going into university, what you were passionate about, things that you really loved doing.
A little bit about my early life. I grew up in a neighborhood called North Riding. I went to a school there, a primary school called Vuleka Primary School. My high school days were spent in Randburg, so not the fanciest of schools. But yeah, I appreciated the education that I got there. To be quite honest, I'm going to just say I'm a first generation lawyer. Right. By that, I mean to say that there are no other lawyers in my family. So I didn't grow up with uncle, whoever saying, hey, you need to be like me, grow up and become a lawyer like myself. So a lot of the things that I saw growing up, like, for example, my aunts being entrepreneurs, I wanted a better life for myself, but I also wanted something that I knew was going to give me the stability that I needed. And that's why I went into law. And it wasn't easy coming up, but like you said, in our communities, especially for women, for young women, we're not taught, you need to go and start a company, you need to go and build this, and you need to go and do that, right? And most of us is grow up so that you can get married and have a ton of babies and maintain your household, right? So for me, growing up, I had to instill in myself that value of you need stability, and you're meant for bigger purposes. I will always credit my mother's older sister. She also kind of provided that inspiration for me and that backbone to say, you're meant for greater things. You are meant for greater things. So don't let yourself fall into the trap of thinking that a woman's place is in the kitchen and the kitchen alone. Right? So yeah, that's my early life. The majority of it, I can say, is that I have overcome a lot of things. A lot of things.
Yeah. Growing up, I thought I was going to be a lawyer at some point. So when we were still at primary school, so I like arguments. I enjoyed arguments, right? If you wanted to find me, you'll find me among a group arguing on something, debating, I really loved that. And I really believe that, this is going to take me on a path of becoming a lawyer. But earlier on, before that, I strongly believed that I was going to become a psychiatrist. And the reason why I thought I was going to become a psychiatrist was because of some influence that I got on TV, some soapies. Sometimes you see your favorite actors doing certain jobs and you're like, that is the thing that I want, right? But when I look at all of these careers that I wanted, they were all because I felt like I can speak for people. I felt like I can help people, right? That was the goal. But I ended up in finance. And then I thought, gone is my dream. I'll never make it again. I can't be a lawyer. I can't be a psychiatrist. But I realized that all of these things were connecting. There was a reason why I was going into finance, right? I was going into finance to actually help people, you see. So I'm still advocating, and I'm still providing counseling, right? Only I'm doing it from the side of finance, right? So I just wanted to understand from you, has law been something that you just defaulted to, or you have always felt something within you that spoke to you assisting people?
That's a great question. So like you said, I wear many hats, right? And one of them is content creation. So I think from the time that I was a child, I've always been a storyteller, right? And I feel like now with the law, right, with anything legal, I feel like I can tell a story and make it more real to people instead of black and white, clear black and white. You know what I mean? So to answer your question, I don't think it was by default. I think it was also the fact that I had a passion for teaching people, right? But also in a way that I could provide help, much like you, you know? So I also say with black families, it's either you're an engineer, a lawyer, or a doctor, or a policeman. You know, any one of these four, you're fine, right? So I also had that in the back of my mind, but I think I gravitated towards law because it was a way I could reach and teach people, you know, using my skills and my knowledge as well. And that's why I do content creation.
Yeah. And I see a lot of potential in it. You know, the stories that you tell about yourself, you know, I think a lot of people relate to them. And, you know, relatability is a very powerful thing. But especially if people are vulnerable to open up about their own stories, you know, when you look at our mainstream media, most of it is polished. I mean, people stand there, you know, looking nice and good, and they talk about a certain thing and it looks like everything is perfect. They got everything under control. When they show you your kids, I mean, their kids, you know, everything will be perfect. They will drop off the kids at school. They'll just take a snap of the drop off, and then they get to the office. They're sitting in some big office, and then you are looking at them like, this is a superwoman. You know, she can't do no wrong, right? But they're not showing you the real story. And people are struggling with the real story, and they keep on, you know, beating themselves up saying, but this person is so perfect. Why can't I be like that person? Because the true story is not being told. And I think with your story, it's a very powerful story. I don't know how you can combine, the real life, situational content that you do, with law. I don't know if that's something that's content that you are currently working on building or you are thinking about.
No, it's definitely something I'm thinking about. Because like you said, a lot of the things that we see on mainstream media, it's curated content, right? Like you said, dropping off the kids at this fancy private school and going to the gym a few minutes later, but no one really sees the behind the scenes, you know? So I feel like the content that I will going forward, try and produce is the struggles of actually building that business, the struggles behind the scenes of actually getting up in the morning, making sure that everything I have planned for the day is planned out and organized well, but also the struggles that I face as well.
That would be powerful. That would be powerful. I don't know what your opinion is. You know, there are a lot of young women out there who in a way believe that they need to be, they need to depend, you know, on their partners. Whether they have gone to school, because we have seen some people say it's those that have not gone to school, but we have seen both, those that have gone to school and those that have not gone to school. What would be your advice to them?
My advice would be it's important to have your own. And by that, I mean to say, yes, our partners are great. Like for me, for example, my partner is great. He's supportive, but he's also supportive in my business endeavors. And he knows that as an individual, before I'm a wife, before I'm a mother, I also need to be fulfilled. So my advice is to the young ladies that feel like it's important to depend on a man. I have this very strong advice. If you give a man the power to feed you, you also give him the power to starve you. So you need to really, really think about it before making that decision and have your own, have your own thing.
And at times when people like yourself advise that you need to have your own, people think like complete independence. Like, I don't need anybody. So what would you say to that?
No, as like I said, if you're someone that wears many hats, it doesn't matter if you own $1 million rands in the bank. At some point, you're going to need help, right? So you cannot have complete independence because everybody needs help. You know, like with me, for example, my daughter right now is at home with my husband, and I have my in-laws that help. So you cannot have complete independence, but have that know-how to say, okay, I have my own, but I'm also someone that supports the family and someone that knows when to ask for help.
Yeah. I've often heard some psychiatrists speaking about, you know, bringing 100% to a relationship, not a 50%, but you both bring 100%. You know, you bring your qualities and your value. They bring their qualities and their value.
Yeah.
And the reason for the partnership is because you want to build something beyond yourselves.
Yes.
Right. Like having children. It's a two people job, you know. It's not a one person job. It was not designed like that. Right. That's why it's important that you both bring 100% so that then you can raise a child.
Yeah.
You know, who has got values from a man, values from a woman, and they can be able to interpret life, you know, in a special way.
Firstly, and I speak as an attorney, thorough research is important, even as a content creator. Whether you're being managed by someone, whether you are doing it yourself, researching into that platform. I know that a lot of people got pulled in by their friends and things of that nature, but it's difficult to trust something without doing your own research in the background. In terms of protection, the only thing that I can say is really fact check everything, because I saw a lot of content creators, their platforms got taken down. There were no safeguards in place, because if you worked with someone in the industry before, there's no reason for you not to trust them, to say, you know, this person has done this. But it's also up to you as an individual to say, okay, so-and-so has done this, but what's the facts behind it? What are they actually doing?
Is this a universal principle? Ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Yes. Obviously, people are lay persons. You can't expect someone to understand the Constitution. I mean, even I can't quote from the Constitution, you know, but you cannot go in blindly in something, because at the end of the day, like a lot with those influencers, they might have had their managers reach out to them and say, hey, there's this job, right? But because your manager has said it, your manager's not before the camera promoting the thing. You are the face of that thing. So it's up to you as well as a person to say, I'm going to do my background. I'm going to do the research, because at the end of the day, it's not your agency that gets slapped with a fine or gets their accounts banned. It's you. So, it is a universal principle, but also taking into effect that not everybody is a legal person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's unfortunate what has happened to those girls. But research is important.
Yeah, hunger is also going to kill us. Yeah. You know, sometimes you look the other way.
Yeah.
All the signs are saying this thing might not be right.
Yeah.
But the stomach is saying, hey, we'll see that later. So when it comes to issues of family, I don't know if giving birth to a child is for everyone. Is it?
No. It's not for everyone. I think it's something that when it does happen, it completely changes who you are fundamentally as well. When you become a mother, something changes inside of you. You are now responsible for a completely new human being. And I say that it's not for everyone only because if you don't understand the responsibility behind having a child, it can be difficult to wrap your head around.
Yeah. I once wrote an article not so long ago, and I think the heading was like, you need to get your life in order before you can bring a child to this world.
Yes.
And the comments that were coming, people interpreted that as you need to create wealth, right? But I was not talking about wealth. You know, I was just talking about, aligning yourself properly, such that a child does not become a burden in your life. Because I think there are many children out there who feel like burden to their parents because the parents thought they were ready. They wanted to have a child, but they were not ready to have a child. Yeah. What's your views on that?
I agree with the fact that before you have a child, certain things need to be in place.
Yeah.
Right? Because children, my child is a toddler, right? And she's at the stage where she is kind of like a tape recorder and she absorbs her environment around her, and she's very much an observant little girl, right? So if my husband and I didn't have or didn't put in place what we have for our child, I feel like it would be quite a struggle. And also it would be difficult for us to give her that love that she needs. Yeah. So it's not to say that we're wealthy and we live in a mansion and we have tons of money coming in. That's not the case at all. But the fact that we have a family unit, a strong family unit for our daughter is what's important as well.
Yeah. And I think it needs to be very clear, because I think if we don't mention it often, it's going to continue happening. People bring children into the world because they want to sort out their relationship. They bring children into the world because they think they're aging. They bring children into the world because they feel like it's cool, to walk with a child in a mall. Those are reasons why people are giving birth nowadays, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about this little human being who comes with an empty brain, and you are given the role of basically making sure this becomes a complete being, which is going to go out there and conquer. If you are not ready for that, and ready is not just money, it's stability. Where do you stay? Because children need stability. They need an environment that they can that is familiar for quite some time, at least until they have developed certain parts of their brain. You want them to see how daddy reacts, how mommy reacts, how they react towards each other, because what they pick up is exactly what they're going to be bringing to the world.
Exactly.
So we see a lot of chaos, in different neighborhoods because of parents who just bring in children, and then tomorrow, now the children is at fault for everything in the household. If it wasn't for you, I could have been far. If it wasn't for you, this could have happened. You disturbed us, as if the child made a call and said, hey, parents, can you bring me there? That is a problem. So going into the business of legal, right? I don't know how it is here in South Africa. I know that back in Botswana, it's something that a lot of people aspire to get into. But the challenges remain that there are all these big corporates who have existed for years and years, for donkey years, and they dominate corporate. They have all the big contracts, government, corporate, and new entrants want to get in also. What do you think needs to be done for maybe for someone who's starting out and they really want to get a foot in?
Yes, that's a very good question. So with regards to entrance level jobs, right? I say this a lot on my my platforms, especially to legal students, to law students. It's important to put your foot in the door. And what I mean by that is get experience, get any experience, volunteer at law firms. In fact, that's one of the ways that I got my first job is I didn't go for the big corporates, your Bowmans, your Weber Wenzels. I went for the small firms. I volunteered my time. I said, look, I'll be here every single day from Monday to Friday, and all I need is experience, right? And I went in, and then eventually my then boss offered me a role, a position as a secretary within the firm. If you're a law student starting out, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to volunteer, even if it's unpaid for the time being. It's not forever. Just as long as you get your foot in the door. It's a lot of people say the law or the LLB in general is saturated. I don't believe that at all. I feel like it's up to you as a person to put yourself out there. and put your foot in the door.
Yeah. Foot in the door. Tell that to a young person. They'll be like, nah, who's going to buy my lunch? Who's going to give me transport money?
To be quite honest, and I'm going to be quite frank and upfront, with regards to the music industry, there's a lot of things that go down that can be questionable legally, right? As regards to specifics, however, I can't give you to say this is the piece of legislation that says you can't own masters outright, right? I think the onus is, I think it's a commonality in the entertainment industry where things like the masters and things like the royalties, unfortunately, because no one has, they source out struggling people. The guy in Limpopo, for example, right? He doesn't have money to consult lawyers.
Limpopo are going to kill us.
Yeah, actually. Is this my previous boss was from Limpopo? Maybe we shouldn't. He's gonna think I'm targeting him. Yes, ish. I'm not. But unfortunately, it's a commonality in the entertainment industry where they do this, and it's become commonplace. As regards to specifics on legislation, I cannot give you the answer to that, to say that this law says don't do this. There are legislation like the Consumer Protection Act in South Africa that protects against contracts in general, right? But with regards to the music industry, that's a completely different beast. And I feel like, and I don't want to say, I don't want these people to now look at us and say we hate producers, but I feel like a lot of them prey on young talent.
I think, that's the other unfair part. You know, at times it's not like we don't know that we're being ripped off.
Yeah. But it's it's unfortunate because I think it was, you had asked the question about the corporates, right? Or if a corporate offers you a job and they give you an employment agreement, oftentimes that agreement favors them.
Yeah.
It does not favor you.
Yeah.
It's there to protect them as a company.
Yeah.
So you also need to, in negotiating, you don't need to say, I don't want it. You need to say, how can we work around this clause that makes me feel a bit uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Like with IP, for example.
Yeah.
Can we not own it 50-50 based on the project, right? Can we not work around certain things? So having those discussions is important. You're not turning down the offer.
Yeah.
You're just saying, hey, I'm not fighting. What I'm just saying is, can we relook at this clause? Is there an opportunity for us to review the contract 2 maybe years down the line?
Yeah. I think that is very important. That is very important.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are not as polished.
Yeah.
You know, in discussing these things, they'll be like, no, you are cheating me.
You're cheating me.
You're cheating me here.
You're taking my money.
And you know, the unfortunate thing is that you are most likely talking to someone who's sensitive. They're not the ones who drafted the contract. And they feel like you are talking to them. And they feel like they were trying to do you a favor. Now you are taking all these things. And then everyone becomes sensitive. So I think that point of, look, just sit them down. You know, I've looked at the contract, really appreciate it. I'm ready to move forward. But I just wanted us to look at clause A, B, and C. Here I was thinking this, here I was thinking this, what can be done?
Exactly.
And then they might say, look, let's take it back. We'll come back to you tomorrow. And then tomorrow they might come with a counter offer and say, look, we think we can only adjust B. This is how we can adjust it, right? But it should be worth a try. Yeah. It should be worth a try.
It's definitely, it's a negotiating process.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're throwing in this person's face. I'm not going to take this. Because then, like you said, someone will be sensitive. And even if they're trying to genuinely give you an opportunity, that opportunity can be taken away.
Yes, but it's a very difficult one for upcoming artists.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because you know how it happens. You know how it happens. So upcoming artists are always chasing producers, right? It's always a case of, I have this song, it's banging. Can you listen to it, right? So they'll send it to Pori, they'll send it to Kabza, they'll send it to another person. Right? They're just spreading the net wide, so that maybe they can catch a fish, right? And then one of the producers will listen to the song and says, "Look, I've been listening to your song. It's banging. I think there's something here.
Yeah.
Where are you? No, I'm in Limpopo. No, Paramabas. You come to Josie. And then when you get to Josie, they accommodate you. And then the whole night you are doing a song, and then the following morning you are back in a bus back to Limpopo.
Yeah.
So they remain with everything.
Yeah.
And then they master everything.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you can hear the song on radio. If they do feel like you have got great potential to produce more songs, then they will give you a contract.
Yeah.
But at that time, this is a guy who's really desperate. All they want is for their song to be put on radio.
Yeah.
Is to start getting gigs.
Yeah.
So this producer now puts your song on radio.
Yeah.
And then they give you gigs.
Yeah.
And then with gigs, you know that, no, I'm earning this much from this gig. They tell you, they give you that much, right? Yeah. And then later on, when you get Leonard, when you are not hungry anymore. Right?
Yes.
When now you have a house, you are eating well, and you feel like, now I have my things in order. That's when now you start looking and like, hey, wait a minute. Where are the royalties going?
Yeah.
They're not coming to me. This guy is charging $1 million worth of my royalties. This thing and this thing and this thing. And at that time, it's way too late to claim anything. Those guys can come back and say, look, we spent on you. We booked your accommodation. We were responsible. We were your agent and didn't even have an agency contract. We were finding you gigs.
Yeah.
We bought you clothes. We did all of these things for you.
It's a lot.
You see?
It's a lot. And I think also because I remember one of my friends works in the industry and she had asked me to have a look at her contract for her, and I did. And I found a lot of red flags where I was like, this is not right. Maybe negotiate with HR and talk about clause A, B, and C. See if you can't. Don't say, no, I'm not going to take the job. Rather say, clause A, can we look at retyping it this way?
Yeah.
Clause B, can we look at just restructuring it this way? Clause C, maybe we can have a review of the same contract in 3 years. She came back to me and she said, I spoke to a friend of mine in the industry and she says this is very common, that I should just sign the contract. I said, okay.
We'll fix later. You remind me of Suits, the series.
Yes.
Yeah, that young chap.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah. He was a very brave chap. And I've seen a lot of brave people like that. Not even qualified, because he wasn't qualified at the time, but he was very smart. He understood law.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah, but we can use this guy somewhere.
Exactly.
There's a young man in our business. He came to the office with a backpack. He asked me a couple of questions. I was like, okay, no, it's fine. We can sit, we can talk. So he asked me a couple of questions about my online platforms, how I capture data and how I make sure that this online clients are actually my clients, not Facebook's clients. Then I was like, okay, that's an interesting question. I never thought about that. So I'm asking him, what are you thinking? So he takes a piece of paper and a pen. He starts giving me some structure. He's like, okay, so this is where you get the clients. And then you have to make sure that we filter these clients to make them ours. We get their emails, their numbers. We're using a funnel. It was quite technical.
Yeah.
Then I'm listening to this young man. I'm like, okay, so what have you done at school? Okay. He hasn't done much. He did high school and I think a year or two tertiary, and then he was out. So I'm listening. I'm like, this young man is brave. He just walks in, comes up with a model, tells me that my model is bad, and he can correct it. So immediately we agreed that without pay, I don't know anything about your model. Try to prove it to me, And then he went, he started working on the thing. And then I was like, no, but I think I need you a little longer. So stay for a couple of months doing that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of young people just lack that initiative.
Yes.
Just to go in and say, look, this is what I can offer. But social media has assisted. Because now you don't need to knock on a door.
No.
You can just set up a page, which is exactly what you are doing. Do you ever, do sessions where you encourage young people to put their content out there and how to put it out there?
Yes, I do. In fact, I made a post not so long ago on my LinkedIn page where I was strongly recommending that young people develop soft skills.
Yeah.
Your communication, your distinctions will mean absolutely nothing to the next employer if you cannot communicate.
Yeah.
If you cannot articulate yourself well. So I, through my platforms like LinkedIn or on TikTok, because a lot of the youth are on TikTok and YouTube and things of that nature, I encourage the youth to put yourselves out there, but not just put yourselves out there, develop the necessary skills that you need as well.
Because there's a danger of just putting out content. And I think a lot of young people, they are looking to trend, right? And in looking to trend, we know the things that can make you trend quickly.
Yeah.
Like real quick, and anyone can do those things. And they're always tempted to go that route, because when you do good content, you don't necessarily trend. It takes time. It takes time until you have a good community. That's when maybe your content can trend, but it's very difficult to trend. And I think, as we advise them, it should be, look, if you have a good product and you think people need it, keep at it, keep on improving it until it gets to a point where now it can actually work and pay you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. So first and foremost, in South Africa, it is a criminal offense to impersonate an attorney. You will go to jail. So I'm assuming, yes, in the same sense that with Suits as well, he was not an attorney, and if they had found that out, he would have been facing criminal charges, right? And a lot of people, when they look at American TV shows, right, they seem to think that it's the same everywhere, right? It's the same in South Africa. It's completely different.
Yeah.
If you stand in a South African court and you call a judge, Your Honor, you'll get thrown out of that court. In South Africa, we refer to the judicial presiding officers. If you're in the magistrate's court, it is Your Worship, whether male or female, it's Your Worship. If it is in the High Court, then it is my lord or my lady. And there are certain procedures that in South Africa we follow, right? For instance, if I appear before a judge for the first time, right, and I don't go beforehand and introduce myself in chambers to say, my name is Sharon Somacele, I'm representing Mr. Siatla, please, this is who I am, If I go before that judge and I haven't introduced myself, it's happened before, yes, but that's procedure. The judge would be like, I don't know you. You didn't introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Please take a seat. Let the next matter proceed.
It's always boring when you are watching local cases, right? Because you're used
to
lawyers.
I object.
They open the door and they come running with evidence. Your Honor, may I rise?
No. Not in South Africa. That won't fly here.
So let's talk AI. People have been able to draft their own contracts.
Yeah.
So what's the conversation in the legal space around that?
Look, I think a lot of attorneys and lawyers will agree that in as much as AI has advanced, right, there also is a need to be careful because I'll give you an example with Chat GPT, right? It's a great platform, but there came out a case a while ago where a candidate attorney here in South Africa drafted a review application and used AI, right? And unfortunately for her, she got the cases wrong. This matter went to court before a judge, in the labor court before a judge. And the judge asked, where did you get these cases from? And the candidate attorney couldn't confirm. Because what they did was they put all the information in AI and they didn't do background research, right? So with AI, I feel like it's an amazing advancement, especially for those in the legal field. But you also need to use it with caution. You need to do your background checks. You need to make sure that whatever sections or whatever documents that it's drafted for you, especially if it cites legislation, you need to make sure that that legislation is what it says it is. And by that, you need to do the actual legal research behind it. Don't just trust blindly in AI. Do your research. But I feel like that's what most attorneys in school, that's what we're taught.
Yeah.
Have to read.
Yeah.
Have to do your research. You have to make sure that your analytical skills are on par. Because if you just trust blindly in AI without doing your fact checking, without doing your background checks, then you end up like my colleague. And her principal is facing some real serious charges from the LPC. So, yeah.
Do you think going forward, this is going to affect how, the hard work that lawyers used to put in?
I'm going to speak for myself. I feel like AI is a blessing in a lot of ways, right? But you're right in that it makes people lazy.
Yeah.
As lawyers, you're taught to analyze, to read, to review, to not take something at face value, right? If anything, AI should make lawyers more robust in their research because you can't rely on the machine to just analyze the cases. Unfortunately, and this has been said by the creators of AI as well, that AI hallucinates. So if you are going to use AI as a lawyer, you need to do your background research and not be lazy and not just let the machine do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yo, crazy times we are going to, and I'm just imagining students at varsity now doing law with AI. Back in the day, we didn't have AI. Like, you had to go to the library. You had to, get those books, read them up, go and interview someone. You had to do all of those things. But nowadays, AI, seems to be taking over. And you hear nowadays, even when people are making arguments, not in court, but anywhere in the streets, you can tell that they have summaries of what they think they know. They don't have the whole story because AI doesn't really give you like an entire story to be able to interpret it properly line for line, right? It gives you a summary because it can give you so many ways at a time. It gives you some form of a summary. So this is exciting.
With Chat GPT and AI, sometimes you need a second opinion on it, right? You need a legal eye on it. Because oftentimes AI can hallucinate and it can bring big trouble for you. Or if in the instance where you're drafting contracts, it could lead to a contract that's unenforceable by the law because it didn't meet the specific standards. Get a legal eye on it. Get a legal eye on it. Because I can't say to you, put it in ChatGPT, it's going to generate the answers. Because like I said, oftentimes ChatGPT will hallucinate and you won't know if it's saying, I've had it happen many times where even with my previous firm, the interns were using AI, right? And, they would recognize certain things in the contract. And then when I went back to check what the contract actually said, that was nowhere to be found in the contract, right? So get a second opinion. Get a legal person who is familiar with contracts to look at it.
I think it actually creates a business model here, where there can be an online lawyer who actually interprets contracts that have been generated by AI.
Yeah.
So you allow the guys to go around generating their own contracts, and then they just send to you. You look at it quickly, charge a fee, and then take a few things and say this needs to be out. Let's replace it with this. You send back, and then they can go. So because it's everywhere, really. I mean, when you think about it, there are guys in Soweto there, they're not even thinking about going to the CBD to look for a lawyer. Whatever can be signed on the corner, they're going to sign. So I want to know, Sharon, for your content creation business, what are the plans going forward in terms of scaling it? Is it something that you really want to do like full time?
Yeah.
Or you want to do full part-time?
Look, I honestly feel like my content creation is scalable, right? Especially on the various platforms that I am on, right? I want to make sure that I have a foolproof plan in order to go into content 444. But it also needs to fall in line with the goal that I have for starting a firm, right? That's not to say that I'm not going to put my all in content creation, but it is to say I want content creation to align with my goals.
You know, you said you've always liked creating content. And as we are talking, I'm just imagining, because then you are a creator before you are a lawyer. Right? So by design, you did law because it was a very special subject that you had to deal with, to understand, so that on your creative side, then you can see how to edit in, right? So there has been content, you know, in America, they have long, you know, advanced on putting creativity in any other profession. So we have your Judge Judy, and then we have others who are also creating content but doing law, right? Do you think that's something that you might consider getting into?
I will. In fact, the thing that I have been planning, and I'm going to share the secret with you now on the platform for the first time, I do want to go into training. So I think the content that I'm going to make in future is going to be centered around that as well. Making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity and understanding of the law, that it's not this big scary thing that people are afraid to do, you know? So it's something that I want to go into. And
it's a lucrative industry, training, because people do train, but depending on what you train on, it might help, it might not help you. And I'm imagining you are aware of so many cases where a lot of people have been unjustly you know, put to jail, or sometimes they lose their jobs and they don't get their benefits and they don't know what to do. They don't understand where to go, you know. Just that content coming out, you know, it will create a lot of vibe. Not necessarily because you'll be doing it to be a trending content creator, but it's also very important to weigh our passions and purposes with you know, business, right? Does it make sense? How are we going to monetize it? Because you want to grow it. So that later on in future, then you can have your own studio, call other lawyers, engage, you know, have training sessions, you know, go to the remote areas, teach young people, you know, about the law, what their rights are, all of those things. I think is very important.
No, I agree 100%. And I think it's something that I am geared towards.
There's an issue of wills, you know. There are people who write a piece of paper and then they put it in a drawer, and the family knows that there's a piece of paper in the drawer, it's locked. You know, when this man dies, you open that drawer, there will be a will. You know, I just want you to clarify the legal implications of such wills.
So it's so interesting that you're actually saying that, because I remember I did an interview not so long ago that discussed and touched on the topic of wills. In order for a will to be valid, there are certain things that need to be met before that will can be considered as a valid will, right? First and foremost, it needs to have been signed by 2 witnesses above the age of 14 years old, and those 2 witnesses don't need to be beneficiaries in the will. If they are beneficiaries, then your will becomes invalid because, you know, the witnesses signed, but they're beneficiaries. And you need to sign on every single page of that will if you're going to draft a will. So there are certain requirements that need to be met before you even put together a will. That's why it's always important or advisable to, even if it's your bank, get them to draft it for you, or get a legal person like an attorney to draft it for you, because we know and understand what requirements need to be met. Unfortunately, in the event, and it's happened many times, where someone has passed away and there was that piece of paper in the drawer. They took that piece of paper and took it to the master's office. the master said, unfortunately, I can't assist you because this is not a valid will.
Yeah.
This person is seen to have died interstate. And what that means now is that the government determines how your assets are.
So Sharon, normally we like to ask our guests to leave a question for our next guest. Okay. We don't know who that guest is, right? Just a question that you have in mind that they need to answer. And we'll let them know that it was you who asked it.
Sure, pressure. Okay, since you asked it to me. What is your opinion on AI and its effect on our future?
Wonderful. Yeah. So Sharon, your last word. I need you to speak to a young girl who is sitting somewhere in a village or a town, and they feel like there's absolutely nothing out there for them. They believe that, they have a lot of limiting beliefs. They've been told so many things that they can't do. You can't work and be a mom. You can't work and have a child. You can't run a business, working and having a family. Women have been told so many of those things. What would you like to say to that person?
So to the young girl that's listening right now, you can do it. I started off small. I started as a secretary, then a paralegal, and now I'm an admitted attorney. You will have a lot of people telling you can't do it, or this is a role for a woman. But I'm here to tell you that you can. I'm proof that you can. Yeah. It's going to be difficult, but strap on those boots. You can do it.
Absolutely. And Sharon, where can people find you?
So I have a YouTube channel called Legal Talk with Shazzy. And I also have a LinkedIn profile, my full name, Sharon Somacele. And then I also have Instagram and TikTok with the names Legal Talk with Shazzy as well.
Wonderful. We'll let all the followers of Beyond the Hustle follow those pages.
Thank you.
Sharon, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.